Hi everyone, how are you? I am so excited because I have Christina Hathaway on for the second time, and you are only the second person to be on for two times. So I am honored that you are here. Thank you so much.
That's so sweet. I didn't know that. So thank you. That makes me feel very happy. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
And I was just saying it's interesting because I had you on before and had a great conversation, but now we're going to have that same kind of conversation, but around perimenopause.
Mhm.
You were just telling me, but you can tell us briefly how you were kind of forced into perimenopause, and
Mhm.
we can kind of go from there if that sounds good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in probably starting in 2014, 15, I started to just have like uncontrollable bleeding. And it
Mhm.
wasn't like heavy bleeding, but it was just always constantly there. And so I went to my OBGYN and she found that I had fibroids.
Mhm.
And they had initially tried a uterine fibroid embolization, is where they put these little pellets into the veins of the tumors themselves so that they will die. Mine
Mhm.
did not die. I called them my gremlins. And she initially said, well, there's nothing we can do. There's a hysterectomy, obviously, or you can wait a couple years and there is a medication that is coming. But I was getting married, having sex with this just the type of blood too. It's like
Yeah.
the end of your
Yeah.
period blood. It's not sexy.
Mhm.
So I went to a different physician and she said, "Look, we can do, if you and your husband are not wanting to have children, it's still going to be difficult for you because now the choice is not yours anymore. But this is what I think you need to do because the what we have currently in regards to medical care is not working."
Mhm.
So I had a hysterectomy in 2017, literally months after I got married. And I kept only my ovaries. So I don't have my fallopian tubes because they also wanted to make sure that um, if they remove the fallopian tubes, it's less, you won't get ovarian cancer, less likely to get ovarian cancer as I understand it. So nobody really talks about anything other than that. They say, we're
Yeah.
going to keep your ovaries because we don't want you to go into perimenopause or to menopause, excuse me. So I go on my way, I live my life. And about 3 years ago, I'm 43. About 3 years ago, things just started to change.
Mhm.
I found that my ability to recall words and thoughts was challenged. My ability to stay on tasks were challenged. I have the itchiest freaking ears. I talk about this to everyone. It is the part of perimenopause that I absolutely hate. My ears are always itching. I have a bit of vertigo. Like all these things started happening. Even like my skin started like right in between I don't know, like a joint, like
Yeah.
would get a little irritated. And even with my training, so this is really where I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? When I turned, this is so funny. When I turned 40, I did a photo shoot and I did a protocol that I'd normally do. And, this 8 week cut, like really working out a ton. I looked great. I was shredded. I tried to do the same exact thing, the same exact cut. I think it
Mhm.
was the next fall, because I don't do cuts a lot, but and my body was like, nope, I'm not doing this. Or maybe it was the next year. I don't remember when it was, but it was like maybe 10 months to a year afterwards. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And my mom never talked to me about perimenopause or menopause because my mom also had a hysterectomy.
Mhm.
So it was then at that point, like, okay, well, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to do research because if I feel this way as someone who's an expert in food and body, then my client doesn't know this as well. And so that led me towards educating myself. I have the menopause coaching specialist certification through Girls Gone Strong, and I'm working on their Menopause Plus. Goes into a little bit more around like GLP-1s and peptides. I haven't gotten through it yet. And then other things, reading any of like Dr. Mary Claire Haver's books. I have the Menopause Brain. by Lisa Marconi, which is a really great book, and just working with individuals that I trust in this area who have more knowledge. And we're kind of building the boat as we're sailing along into perimenopause. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel so similar to you in a lot of ways. I started getting symptoms and I'm like, what the heck is happening? Nobody talked to me about it. My mom never really talked about it.
Mhm.
And funny enough, like my grandmother and her both got depression in perimenopause, but I don't think they knew that. They're just like, oh, we got depression when we hit our 40s. I'm like, oh, so did I. Guess what?
Yes.
I think it's perimenopause. It's your hormone.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. And as we were talking when we started, that's when I was diagnosed with ADHD. I've
Yeah.
always known something was different about my brain. And I get emotional talking about this because I thought I was unintelligent. I
Hmm.
thought that the way that my brain worked was broken. And there were just things, there are still just things that my brain does not like, right? And I learned because we're women and female, I figured it out. I figured it out on my own how to handle that for a very long time until the business was booming. I'm doing the pod. Have my family, social responsibilities. I have a team, and I just at a certain point I could do it until at a certain point I could not mask it anymore.
Yeah.
And as I was telling you, I talked to my therapist and I just started crying. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from having to go back to tasks over and over and over again because my brain goes bing, 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 bing. It happened right before this. I went
Mhm.
to send a YouTube link to a client and ended up somewhere else and had to stop, go back and do it. But it wasn't until I was over the age of 40 that that happened.
Mhm.
I don't know why this is,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
let me just fix this real quick. It's supposed to keep going, but it's not. But that was okay, I don't know what's happening here now. We'll just keep pressing play. Um, that was the biggest thing for me was just my brain felt like it was breaking.
Hmm.
And I couldn't do it anymore. So at that time, I actually did seek out medication support for ADHD.
Yeah. I think it's so great that you're sharing this because I think there are a lot of women in perimenopause as our hormones are changing, as our emotions are changing. There's only so much we can take on. And usually during this time too, like if you have kids, you have the kids. You also have parents who are getting older. Like you're stuck in this sandwich stage where you
Mhm.
have more than you ever have going on in your life. Plus you have everything that's going on with your hormones and your emotions. So
Right.
talking about these are so important and is why I want to have this podcast on, not just to give us the tools and the strategies, but also the awareness that like you are obviously so intelligent, you know,
Thank
that it
you.
has nothing to do with that. Is how your brain is functioning. So,
Oh yeah, that was a big deal, and I never really realized it until, it's a godsend in a certain way,
mhm.
going through this transition because you start to recognize things that you just masked, not even with ADHD in a lot of areas, which we'll touch on today.
Yeah, that is one of the questions I ask everybody who comes on my podcast this last year is like, what is something that happened in perimenopause that you didn't think was, but is actually a blessing? Because I think we have so many things that happen that aren't necessarily like fun, but
Mhm.
you were just saying that like being able to find out how your brain works and what is going on is actually a good thing. It's actually enlightening for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. And it that word enlightenment is a great word because it makes you sad though too, because you don't realize it until you're older that
Mm,
like this was true for you this entire time, but you were so hard on yourself. I'm still hard on myself because I get really frustrated with the lack of recall, and I'll talk about my medication struggles at the moment. Um, because my job is to speak,
mhm.
and and I was the girl who always got the goodish grades, but it was always she talks too much. Like that's been who I've been my whole life. And when I get those hiccups in my brain, it's frustrating. However, it's not a character flaw. It's not a flaw at all. It's just how my brain works. Now, I did go on medication. I am obsessed with my sleep. And I protected at all costs, so I chose a non-stimulant option.
Mhm.
And I went on bupropion, which is also an antidepressant. And at a certain dosage, it actually was not, it was doing worse than my brain just being a little bit spotty. So at the moment, we're trying to figure out what's the best option for me. But when I was using it at smaller increments, it was helpful. I've also gone on testosterone to see if that helps too with my brain. And there's some peptides out there that I've considered, but I don't want to, these needles, I don't love them.
Yeah. Um, I don't mind the needles because I do have Crohn's, so I've been giving myself B12 shots for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. But
Um,
that was the thing that was really help, that this process in my life
mhm.
helped. And I think too, it's just, oh, I think of your period and your ovaries as this is their retirement party. Like they've been working really hard for a really long time. And they get to retire now, and your body gets to retire of like hemorrhaging every freaking month. Now I haven't had a period for a long time, so I've already known the beauty of that for
Yeah.
before a lot of my friends did. But
Mhm.
it's empowering. You're like, this
Yeah.
is great. Just think about how much money you're gonna save.
Right.
But then
Yeah.
we spend it all into the supplements that we
Yeah,
need.
that's true too.
Yeah.
Right. So this kind of brings me into some of the topics that we wanted to touch on. And one of them was like mental health struggles and boundaries and how those really kind of fit together.
Mhm.
What, and okay, so we haven't even properly introduced you. So let's properly introduce you because you are a mindset, nutrition, fitness coach. And I love that you have the three of those because I don't think you really can be strong in one of those without putting the other two there. You really need the mindset, but you also need the nutrition. You also need the fitness to be like the well-rounded person that we want to be in this season. So that's what you are as a coach. So as a
Yeah.
coach, how does the mental health struggles and boundaries, how does that fit in?
What I found really interesting, and I learned this from my own clients, I actually have a pretty strong boundaries system, but a lot of the women that I work with do not. That perimenopause and the menopause transition in general exposes their lack of boundaries. What we
Mhm.
have to realize is that estrogen and progesterone, right, both have an impact on our neurotransmitters. So, our ability to calm ourselves down, our ability to regulate our emotions is affected by the fluctuations with those hormones. Then, on top of that, if I'm someone who just lets people walk all over me, I'm a people pleaser, I'm someone who's afraid to say no because of, upsetting others.
Mhm.
I've always been overloaded. I've been compounded with everyone else's stuff. But again, I've been able to mask it because my brain had the chemicals, the appropriate chemicals to at least keep my head right above water, right? Barely above water. Perimenopause and the transition in general shakes that up and it exposes to you your lack of boundaries in your life. And a lot of women lack boundary systems because we are caretakers. And it's incredible because when I created my mindset of menopause cohort, I've done one cohort. Um, I thought the nutrition would be probably the biggest thing that we focused on. Not nutrition, not exercise, boundaries.
Mhm.
Because my clients now, again, just like my ADHD, are looking at their lives and saying, wow, now that I am aware of, what's going on in my brain, I can also see what's happening in my environment that has led up to this place. And changing boundaries alone and creating a boundary system can make this transition so much easier for yourself because your body is screaming for you to pay attention to it for the first time in its life,
Mhm.
or at least the first time you've had to recognize it, unless, of course, you have a medical issue or an injury. And with that, you have to create space for you to be able to listen. And if you're doing everything for everyone, you will not have that space. And so that's one of the things that my clients and I have worked on is creating internal and external boundary systems.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I know that was one of the biggest things I had to learn, was to listen to my body, but also that like I can only control me. So I had
Mhm.
to let go of a lot of things I thought I was going to control. And also saying no to so many things and really, like you said, with the boundaries, like, you know what, going with that set of group of people doesn't serve me anymore. It doesn't serve my body anymore. That type of food doesn't serve my body anymore. Even like with alcohol, I have
Mhm.
no shame, nothing against it, but like it does not like me. And
Right.
so like I've had to cut a lot of things out of my life for sure.
Yeah. And if you're someone who has had that codependent relationship of taking care of others or caring what others think, that can be so difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because you are so fearful of hurting people or them being disappointed in you. And this is so cliche, but every time you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to yourself. And in this transition, like all the yeses need to be to you so that
Yeah.
you can take care of your body. There's also, in regards to mental health, a lot of anxiety around certain symptoms that we experience as well. But we need to have some clarity when those symptoms are happening to do what I'm going to talk about next. Hot flashes are one that can actually be exacerbated by the anxiety of the thought of knowing that they're happening. So I'm having a hot flash, and if I look at it, oh my God, I'm in a meeting. Oh my God, they're going to look at it. They're going to see me sweat. Oh my God, do I take off my jacket? What do I do? Oh my God, and just that
Hmm.
spiral happens. With cognitive behavioral therapy, which has been researched, not a lot of research in regards to mental health and menopause. I've done almost every training you can do or CEU that you can do, and some of them are completely outdated and bogus. But for the research that we have, cognitive behavioral therapy around hot flashes is really effective to say, there it is. If I let it come and go, I know that mine lasts 60 seconds. That's another one of my symptoms was night sweats, more night sweats than hot flashes, but nights, I mean, just drenched.
Yeah.
Um, but in a hot flash, when we're awake, utilizing being aware of the bodily symptom, which we have to have awareness of in our bodies,
Mhm.
then the thoughts that we connect to those symptoms. Like I can ask to go get a drink of water. I can ask to, take a 5 minute break, or I can just sit with this. I know it will only last 90 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever it is for your body, and we move on. That's very different than the spiral.
Mhm.
So there's also some of that where there is even anxiety around sleep. If you wake up at the 2 a.m. and it's like, now I'm not going to go to sleep. When am I going to go to sleep? I need to sleep. I need to wake up in 3 hours. Da, 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 da. There's cognitive behavioral therapy techniques that people can use to get their brains back into a place to help them at least at a minimum relax. That may not mean go to bed, but relax. So those are just a few of the mental health struggles that I see in my clients.
Definitely. And I would say all of those also just add to like weight gain if they're already having trouble with that. Like that anxiety, that stress is just going to make your body hold on to weight even more. So it's just multiplying that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There and I know we're going to talk about this, there's a lot of misconceptions about perimenopause and weight gain. I think in general, it does impact insulin levels. It can impact your weight shifting or fat shifting from protecting your reproductive organs up into your belly. And that's where we see that shift. That's actually by design.
Hmm.
And we don't realize that. Like it's just shifting from the hips and the lower abdomen up to protect the organs that it needs to protect because these are not being used anymore. Um, However, there are so many factors and variables that contribute to the weight gain beyond just my metabolism's broken, and anxiety, obviously lack of sleep, being your body's already in a stress state and not, and almost being victim to that rather than saying, what can I do to make
Hmm.
this a little better, and there's a lot, and every woman's what can I do box is going to be different than the next. you
Yeah.
know.
And that definitely, there is a lot of talk out there going into the nutrition part. There's a lot of talk out there about like how much protein you should have, how like you have to have this, you have to have that. And like
Yeah.
you said, everybody is a little different, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, my main thought is if what used to work is not working anymore, then believe it.
Hmm.
And don't
I
and
like that.
realize, yeah, realize that your again, just like your body exposes you to your lack of boundaries, it may also, or not may, it will also expose you to what you've been doing to it up to this point. So, for example, if you are someone who lives in a constant calorie deficit or you yo-yo dieted for a very long time, you've probably lost a good amount of lean body mass. So your metabolism is naturally just going to be lower because you have less of this very metabolically charged tissue, which is muscle. That is not because of your age. That's because of your choices. And not to shame you because it's out there. It's in our face, and professionals for our whole lives have told us, eat 1,200 calories, have the snack wells, have the diet tab. Like that's what we know.
Yeah.
So it's going to expose you to where you're at metabolically, but it is not what caused you to be there metabolically. That is yo-yo dieting, excessive cardio, excessive, just very restrictive dieting. So if that's what worked before and it's not working now, we've got to say, okay, that's not working now. And for a lot of my clients, what their body actually needs in the menopause transition is eating at maintenance, meaning eating enough to maintain where their weight is for a good amount of time. Because what I notice is that obviously with the yo-yo dieting and the excessive cardio or just restrictive diets in general, we're losing that lean mass. That lean mass is our gold. It is our gold. There are some studies out there, and I don't have them off the top of my head, but the percentage of women with a higher lean mass going through the transition, there's research to support that their symptoms are actually less intense.
Mhm.
So there's something to be said about that. So when it comes to nutrition, everybody is going to be different. However, I like to start my clients at anywhere from like 90 grams of protein, 90 to 100 as like our bottom, as our floor, unless I'm dealing with someone who's very petite and small, upwards to 1 gram of protein per body weight. Now, that is for someone like me. Like I am training heavy. I have all of the foundations underneath me to hit more than my 1 gram of protein per body weight because I've been doing this for a long, long time. And we're just going to leave that off. And, it was giving me anxiety because I didn't put on the loop for, do you do the YouTube? Is this
Right.
on YouTube as
It
well?
is. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, YouTube
Yep.
followers, you don't get the fancy background now. Um, so um, for the person who has not had that. It's really about slowly incorporating protein in, allowing for your system to get used to that. One of the main things, though, I talk to every single woman about is I do not want Franken food proteins. I don't want protein chips. I don't want protein bars. I don't want protein shakes unless they're absolutely necessary. Your body starts digesting by chewing, right?
Hmm.
And there is some support around the fact that these processed proteins actually we can lose some of those amino acids what our body needs to build that muscle. So as much as you physically can, chew it. Yogurt's fine. Yogurt and eggs are great, and those are easy chews, right? So I'd say see where you're at, see where you're starting from, and then start to just change one portion each week, right? So, or I'm sorry, one meal. So for breakfast, 1 cup of non-fat Greek yogurt is 26 grams of protein. I want to add that to my breakfast. And if you're at 65 grams, that's a major jump with a
Hmm.
minor change in your life. And then at lunch, my lunch today, I actually had an event. that I hosted on Tuesday, and we had shrimp cocktail, and there was a bunch left. She's like, "You want to take this home?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I just ate some shrimp cocktail. I actually made a little pasta. It was delicious. It could be a can of tuna, right?
Hmm.
You could add a can of tuna the next week, and then for dinner, you add 4 ounces of ground beef. That's
Hmm.
it. And now we're there. So that's protein is absolutely necessary. It's the building blocks to not only our muscle, but our cellular repair in general. So it builds all of our tissue. So, it's incredibly important. Plus, it's very satisfying. And it takes the body a longer time to digest than your other macronutrients. The second thing that I would focus on is fiber. Fiber, fiber, fiber. Fiber is going to help, number one, keep us fuller longer. It's going to slow down gastric emptying, but also because of the insulin fluctuations that we experience in perimenopause, it's going to help stabilize our glucose and our insulin levels because we're not going to see these big spikes from your simple carbohydrates. These are foods that take longer to break down. And it helps with digestion in general. So obviously digestion can slow during this period. It can also, you can have like loose stool. So those two things are what I would say add. And for fiber, I like my clients to be at 5 to 7 grams per meal. Um, some of the best foods in the world are high fiber. Raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, potatoes,
Hmm.
apples, all high fiber. So those would be the two ads. What I'd pay attention to is added sugar, not fruit, not sugar coming from fruit,
Hmm.
your added sugars, because we're already with the fluctuations with estrogen, which is an anti-inflammatory, it creates anti-inflammatory, not cyto, is it cytokines? Cytokines are the inflammatories. It helps to reduce inflammation in the body. Um, when we add that added sugar and then we have this decrease in this anti-inflammatory hormone, it's just going to cause us to be more inflamed. So I would stay around 30 grams of added sugar. Now, if we're talking about a hierarchy of where to start with your protein, then your fiber, then worry about the sugar. If you do these two, probably not going to do a lot of this. So those
Right.
are
It's just
that.
not going to have it in there anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a lot of support around a high omega-3 or healthy fat diet,
Hmm.
anti-inflammatory diet, as they call it. I like to think Mediterranean diet, which is delicious. I don't think it's a diet because you're not actually taking anything out. You're just
Lifestyle.
right, exactly. And you're just
Hmm.
ensuring that you have that balance between your proteins, your fibers, and your healthy fats. And honestly, as an Italian and Spanish girly, like I'm obsessed with that because I love all those foods. They're satiating, they taste great, they're fresh, and that anti-inflammatory just think Mediterranean for the listeners. I think that just sounds like easier.
Yeah. That's where I want to be anyway. So,
Correct. Thank you. So your fatty fish, your leafy greens, your nuts and seeds, olive oil, things, avocado, all wonderful foods that are packed with nutrients. This is no longer about if it fits my macros. If it fits my macros, it can sometimes be, um, there's my brain fog. Give it, let her be here. Let's give her a moment. Void of nutrients.
mm,
So that is not the quality of your food is more important than hitting a macronutrients or a calorie intake. So really quality foods is important as well.
and for me, especially in perimenopause, when I am trying to put my boundaries up and say no to things, like I don't want to necessarily calorie count or macro count anymore. If I can have a lifestyle of food that is healthy and fresh and doing exactly what you said with the protein and the fiber, that to me seems simpler and
So
so much easier than being like,
correct.
okay, wait, let me stop. Let me see how many macros this is. Like that does is a waste of my energy at this point in time.
Great point. It is it is a waste of energy. And I interviewed Abby Sharp, who's the No BS dietitian, and she has a hunger crushing combo, which is everything we just talked about. And she just puts it into like portions. Or I don't even know if it's portions, but her whole thing is you could order what was it? You could order the chicken salad, right? And you think, oh, this is healthy. Like in our day and age, chicken
Hmm.
salad was a go-to, right?
Yeah.
But you're probably going to be hungrier sooner than if you order the quinoa salmon bowl,
Mm-hmm.
right? Quinoa, wonderful source of fiber, salmon with maybe some avocado on it. If on the menu it shows the calories, the chicken salad might be 400 calories and that quinoa bowl might be 650, 700. But
Hmm.
the choice is not, again, looking at the calories. It's this has those three macronutrients, the fiber, the fats, and the protein. This has one with maybe some greens in there, depending on the veggies. Go with the quinoa bowl. It makes it simple. You're fuller longer. You're less likely to snack on food
Yeah.
because you're slowing down gastric emptying. This is what GLP-1s do. The
Hmm.
GLP-1, there are some wonderful secondary benefits to it, but at the end of the day, it's turning off your reward center of your brain and slowing down how your body empties itself. So we can do that with the combo of these three foods.
I love that. I love that. And simple, easy, accessible.
Yep.
It's amazing. So
Yeah.
let's shift into, we talked about the mindset and the nutrition, and you're also a fitness coach, that part of it, the triad. So what kind of fitness should I be getting in right now? I hear a lot about like weight training at this point.
Yes.
Hmm.
So strength training is incredibly important as we age because the stronger our bodies, the stronger our bones.
Hmm.
And for a lot of us, the what we've known about working out was the higher calorie burn, the better.
Yeah.
This is completely opposite of that. There'll be some times where I'm training and I deadlift 215 pounds at three times for three sets, and my heart rate is at like 60. Like, or like, not heart rate, sorry, calories burned are like 60. So um strength training is going to be incredibly important. What it's going to do is, again, you're going to have stronger bones, you're going to live more independently, and as I mentioned earlier, you're going to build your furnace in your body, which is lean body mass, muscle. It is
Hmm.
the furnace. The my resting metabolism is higher than someone my same weight with a higher body fat percentage. Okay.
Okay.
So I can look small and eat more because I have this lean body mass. And I don't do it for that part of it, but it is nice to know that if I go, like I had In-N-Out Burger on Father's Day. My father passed away and it was my first Father's Day without him, and he loved In-N-Out Burger. And I didn't skimp. I didn't have protein style. I had a freaking In-N-Out Burger, fries, and we shared a chocolate shake.
Hmm.
And it's not nothing happened, right? Nothing happened. So that's another benefit of it too, is the higher resting metabolism. Um, so when it comes though to strength training, another thing I think that the internet and of course society has lied to women about is don't lift too heavy and because you're going to get bulky. Lifting heavy obviously is individualized, right? Each person's going to have what that means to them. But what we have to think about the physiology of building muscle is we have to put a stress on that muscle, right? We
Hmm.
have to stress it out to I'm going to try to say this in the easiest way. Stress it out to the point where it's fatigued
Hmm.
so that in recovery, which is also incredibly important in this process, it will build back stronger. Okay. And that's what building muscle is. So when you see fitness instructors out there giving women with perimenopause advice to lift very light and lift for longer rep or a higher rep range, I do not believe in that. I believe in lifting heavy shit, as Dr. Stacy Sims says. I don't believe in everything she says, but I have seen it in my own clients because we want to, progressively overload that muscle.
Hmm.
We want to focus on compound movements. So your squat, your deadlift, your overhead press, your row, I love a chest press. I think it gives you a great little cut in your arm there. Plus, if you need to push someone off of you, you can. Um, hopefully that's never a situation you need to be in, but I always think of what is this doing for me functionally,
Yeah.
right? And even if I fall down,
Mhm.
I can push myself back up, right? So it doesn't need to be, it's actually quite simple. You talked about simple with the food. We get very simple with the movement. Squats, squat variations. So your actual dumbbell squat, barbell squat, leg press, lunges, sumo squats, anything that allows for your knee to flex, basically. Deadlift is pulling something up from the ground, picking up those groceries. So some sort of hip hinge variation, which includes your Romanian deadlift, dumbbell deadlift, barbell deadlift, hip thrust, good mornings. Then your overhead press. So again, putting something up on, I always think of the airplane where people, and it's so fun to watch more women put their luggage up. I'm like, yes. Because when I used to travel for work, I'd be the woman like helping the other woman put her stuff up. Um, that's your shoulder press, and different variations of that. Your row is again helping support your posterior chain and your back. And so keeping it very simple. And the way that you know if you are progressively overloading, and this is what I ask my clients, number one, you should be working with a program that where you have a plan. Like a lot of us like, okay, I'm going to strength train and we go in the gym and we just start doing bicep curls. That is not, that is one muscle, right? Whereas if I teach you an overhead press and doing it effectively, I'm working a bicep, a tricep, a shoulder, a lat, right? So you want to have a plan. And in that plan, your trainer should give you the rep range for the goal of that movement. I'm sorry, the goal of that training phase,
Mhm.
because there's different goals. There's strength, so just lift as heavy as possible. There's hypertrophy, which is actually the shape and like what the appearance of the muscle looks like. And there's endurance, and they're all required in like you should be doing all of them. So you have that rep range. So for this example, if I give you a 6 to 8 rep range, I don't want you to start at 8. I want you to start at 6. I want you to lift where your fourth, fifth, and sixth rep feel very heavy to you.
Mhm.
You should have 1 to 2 reps in reserve or reps in the tank, meaning you could do 1 or 2 more, but after that, you'd have to drop those weights. That's when you know you have the proper amount of weight to give the proper amount of stimulus to build muscle. So that was a very long-winded answer in regards to strength training. Um, the other part in regards to exercise is we have to realize again that our ability to calm our bodies, right? We're in a stress state because we are shifting. I mean, even think about postpartum. I just got off the phone with a client. We had our first call back since she's had a baby, and you know that shift is really difficult. You're basically going through something similar to that, but
Yeah.
for a longer period of time. So you're in a stress state. So there's research that supports sprints. So 10 to 15-minute high intensity interval training. But if you're someone who has not been training in this way, could be something you lead up to, but it's not that extended. It's not the F45 class that you have a 30-second rest.
Mhm.
You need your body to recover for a longer period of time. So your sprints could look like 30 seconds on, 1 minute off, or what I do is I wait till my heart rate comes down under 100 beats per minute, and then I'll sprint again.
Mhm.
Again, this is great for agility. This is great for cardiovascular health. This is great for bone health because it's very it's dynamic. But again, don't jump to that.
Mhm.
There's support around that. I would walk Walking is wonderful. As a therapist, walking, there's belief that it actually mimics EMDR, which is the way that we process trauma. So you get fresh air, you get sunshine, you're moving your body, it's low impact, and you're quieting your mind and strength training. I think if you do those two things, and then as you excel, to if you're looking for an edge, right? If you're looking to be more powerful and dynamic, if that is important to you, then go into the sprints. But I've seen women sprint just because someone said to sprint, and their body doesn't need the sprinting because they're stressed out, because
Yeah.
that can cause more harm than good in an off balance body. So I say that cautiously.
Hmm. So wherever they are, like start smaller and then work your way up for sure. Don't just jump right in.
Right. And that's what a lot of women want to do. They want to do the full makeover of their food. They want to do the full makeover of their training, and they get burnt out.
Mhm.
You know, your body's already going through a full makeover from a hormones perspective, and now you're trying to change everything else. Just start where you're at, make small changes. And you know what's funny about that? You'll actually shorten the amount of time that you get to your goal.
Mm, I like
Right.
that.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true because how many
And you'll
people
stick with
start
it.
over? Right.
Yeah, you'll
Right.
stick with it. So,
I agree.
yeah. And I love because you do bring the mindset into it. So you're bringing that part into your coaching, which I really appreciate.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, we really dive into the awareness that we want our clients to have, because again, for so long, for so many women, we pretend that we're resilient, but actually in the definition of resilience is recovery. So the definition is your biological ability to adapt, recover, and get through hard things. But for a lot of us, that recovery piece is not there. And in order to give our body what it needs, we need to be able to listen to it and have and build that introspection of, I can hear you. I can, as you say, create space
Hmm.
for listening, and then actually act on what I need. And so that mental health piece is incredibly important because, like I said, with my one client, she has an incredibly stressful job, but she's traveling all the time. She's rarely at home. And we've really worked with her on how to navigate that the best, but I'm not in charge of her training. She goes somewhere else, and because someone told her she needs to be sprinting twice a week, she demands to sprint. And I'm like, I think there's so many clients that I've taken that away, and their bodies have thanked them. They're like, oh my God, I'm working out less and I look amazing. It's my favorite thing in the world. Oh, and they're eating more.
Hmm.
But again, she doesn't give herself that space to actually listen that our body needs to recover, not go sprint. So we're working on it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's full circle back to boundaries and
Mhm.
being able to say no to things, even to things that we have been programmed from, early on in our teenage years. Like that is stuff that I learned as a teenager is to, eat the 0 calories, to, eat the fake food, to work out as hard as you can. And I am definitely liking that in perimenopause. I'm learning that is not true. I should have the lifestyle where I eat real food. I lift real weights. Yeah, listen to
Yeah.
my body. Hmm.
You know, our, you just think of like, how do I say this? Our ancestors ate from the earth and they moved their bodies, right? They weren't, there was time for excessive movement, there was time for recovery. That never really has changed, but an industry was created that weighs on women's insecurities. And I will say to the listeners is, your relationship with your body and food going into perimenopause will also be exposed. You
Hmm.
will, it will be harder. So if you're someone younger listening, and if you're going through it, this is also an opportunity to look at that and how your relationship with food, your relationship with your self-worth and the way that you look, how this transition can be an opportunity to change that and improve that, because any major life change whether that's having a baby, postpartum, pregnancy, perimenopause, and many other things. But just for women, it will expose your distortions. And
Hmm.
you can either just say that's who I am and live in that hell, or you can say no more. Like I'm not going to go through this transition to only come out thinking about myself the same on the other side. Like let's just metamorphosis this and go through a full transition altogether.
Yeah. Like, and I
Yeah.
think that's one thing that like I hear this often and definitely for myself in perimenopause, you're just like, you don't care as much what other people think and you really care about yourself. I'm trying to say this in a nice way, not drop like the F-bomb, but
Right.
like so
It's like the
you
We
don't
Do
have
Not
those.
Care Club,
Yeah.
the lady.
Yes, yes. So it is easier to reflect on, okay, what is working, what's not working, and let's make this next season of my life the best yet. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. There's there's nothing wrong with this. This is all by design. We just as women now live longer,
Yeah.
whereas, the those before us did not. And so we have to learn how to pave the way for those after us to show them that, oh no, this is like way better than the first half of this game. Like we're at the halftime show, we have a great performer and we're coming back and we're winning this game, right?
Yeah.
And doing it in a way that keeps us strong, that keeps us independent, that keeps us cognitively flexible. We haven't
Mhm.
even touched on that part of it. I'm not an expert in neuroscience, but I do study it a lot. And training, even the training part of strength training, I recently started working with an Olympic lifting coach, not to compete, but there's such I compare the clean, barbell clean to a golf swing if you've ever played golf.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Feedback.
the golf swing is, so many, like one thumb could be off or your hips and the ball goes this crazy way. That's similar to the barbell clean. And what I found with it is it's a puzzle. It's like a cognitive puzzle that you are not only working your body, you're working your mind, you're working your confidence, you're working your nervous system because when you're lifting something really heavy, it shakes up your nervous system, your central nervous system. And then you put it down and you relax so then your body comes back. There's so many wonderful things that we need in this transition that lifting a barbell can help us with. So I just thought that was really cool with doing the Olympic lifts. I didn't realize how like uh cognitive it was. It was
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, that's really
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Other than you're also just like a badass. Like you're really like that's
Right.
awesome.
You feel
Yeah.
so cool. I'm like, look what I can do. It's true.
I love that.
I hate the bruises though, so I ended up having to buy like shield these not shields, but basically these calf things. So I have like
Yeah.
little pads, like I look like a kid, on their first day to like a football or something, just completely padded up because I don't want to get hurt. So it's
Yeah.
funny.
Really. Um, so I want to thank you. I also will have all the links below how to get here. I feel like I could talk to you forever 'cause I'm so aligned with what you're saying and it's so interesting.
Thank
But I
you.
do ask everybody, how do you nurture yourself?
How do I nurture myself?
Hmm.
Number one, I am constantly in the face of my dog. There
Love
is
that.
she is my absolute world. She was an angel sent to me by my soul dog. And there's something about that nervous system recovery of just snuggling her. I'm very big on girl time. I just had my girlfriends for over the weekend. We did a staycation. I think connecting and validating and supporting each other is so important. Obviously, I feed myself well, but I still enjoy, and I look at food as nurturing and pleasurable, and I find a balance of that. I think obviously having a good relationship and communication with my husband is really helpful. Learning how to ask for help, which is something I struggle with the most. But really the biggest thing that has changed this past year is my relationship with my faith. um, Losing a parent is incredibly difficult, and you can feel very lost, especially I was very close to my dad. And so I had no, my dad was very faithful too. And to watch him pass with such, what I'm going to use that word again, but like this, he was not fearful. He was faithful and it was beautiful. I really brought that back into my life. It nurtures you when nothing else works.
Mm.
So I would say that's probably the biggest thing. I've worked with a spiritual coach now for the past 4 months, and it's been fantastic. It's changed my life in just realizing that, we talk, just kind of bring it full circle. What used to work isn't working anymore. That's not just true in your physical body. It can, like you said, it can be true in career. It can be true in so many other aspects of your life. And through this kind of work, I've realized more of my purpose and my vision. So that has been wonderful.
I love those. Those are great answers for sure. And
Yeah.
as a dog lover, yeah, I get a lot of joy from my dogs.
Ugh, I mean, she's 2.5. Do we have time? I have to tell you the story of how I
Yeah.
got her. So my soul dog Brooklyn, I had her for 15 years. She was my dog before I met my husband. Like she was mine. Uh, and she had basically the equivalent of ALS in dogs. So we knew she was going. So I had asked the vet, I said, should I get a third dog? Because we have my dog Harlem, who's a beagle, who's just this like grumpy old beagle. I love her to death. But she's a cat. She is not
Yeah.
a dog. Like she was raised with cats before us. She is a cat. She has an attitude. She'll come to you when she wants, and then she will be like, leave me alone, right? So Bricky, but originally I had been on all of the fosters and rescues, like on Instagram and stuff. So Brookie passed on December 18th. This is important, 2024. So we go on, we're devastated. And I get this hair up my booty to go visit one of these fosters, and I, leave crying. Um, and weeks pass, we walk our current dog to this like dog friendly coffee shop, which is right down the street from our house. And there's a dog there with an adopt me vest on. And so we have them meet. We're like, Harlem wasn't really into it, but I come home and I go on Humane Society and check her out. And the first dog to show up is this boxer. Brooklyn was a boxer with her eyes completely stitched up. And I am legally blind in my left eye. So I said, oh, that's funny. She's a cyclops like me. So I make this joke. Take a snapshot of her, screenshot. I have it on my phone. Move on with my life. We are supposed to go watch football or something that day. And 6 hours later or so, I go on my Instagram. There she is again. And I'm like, she's a boxer. She's got one eye. And her name is Stella, which was our beagle's name in the kennel when we got
Oh,
her.
okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, I think we're supposed to go meet this dog. So we go meet the dog. She's got her eye completely stitched, her tail completely stitched. She's a hit and run survivor. She was
Mm.
hit by a car. Do you want to know the day she was hit by the car, Amanda?
Oh. Oh, tell me.
December 19th, the day
Mm.
after Brooklyn died,
Oh, wow.
slightly after midnight.
Oh my gosh. I got
Yes.
chills.
Yes. And she's the goodest girl. She's just like a dog, and she brings me so much joy. And I truly believe my Brookie and her
Yeah.
little wings came down and said, wake up. I got a mommy and daddy for you if you survive. And we found the police officer that saved her life. The Phoenix Police Department did a whole story on her. She's wonderful. So that's my
Oh.
girl. Her name is Liberty. So it's Brooklyn, Harlem, and Liberty.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. What a great story.
Yeah. No reference to New York in my life, but that's
Right.
just their names. But yeah,
Oh,
those my babies.
yeah. Well, thank you again for that story. I love a good dog story
Yeah.
and for all the wisdom that you just imparted on us.
Mhm.
And this conversation, which has been amazing. I will have everything listed below so they can go look you up and find out even more. And thank you all for listening. I really appreciate your time. And like I say, choose you, and I love you, and I will talk to you soon. All right.
Bye-bye.